With 10 days to go until the launch of Phase 2 of Season of Discovery, Blizzard just dropped the Phase 2 patch notes. You can make an argument that this is the most anticipated WoW content drop in years and maybe ever in the history of the game, with how excited players have been to dive back into vanilla with these new updated changes in classes, content, and itemization. Let's take a look at what Phase 2 has for us. Number one here is an overview of Gnomer, level 40, 10-man, as we expected. Blizzard always said that during the duration of Season of Discovery, they're going to put an emphasis on casual players, making it more accessible. No surprise here. We thought this would happen. Raid size is going to be 10-man and aligned with the 3-day lockout like BFD was before. One key takeaway here is that they are officially going to delay the lockout opening of Gnomer until the first normal lockout. Key takeaway here is that the lockout is not going to start until the first normal lockout reset each week, which is on a Tuesday, which means although Phase 2 drops on February 8th, you will not be able to enter Gnomer until Tuesday, February 13th. Here they highlight a couple of changes to some of the encounters, which is expected, much like we saw in BFD. Not going to go through this one by one, but it looks kind of interesting. Loot preview here. Let's take a look. First one is very, very interesting. Blizzard had always said that they were going to introduce alternatives to the Edgemasters handguards, a near must-have for competitive raiding if you were not a meta race like human or orc. We have the Bonk Maestro's handguards here, which gives you +5 to fists and maces. I'm assuming that we're going to see some very competitive fists and maces in this phase. This item is the Domesticated Attack Chicken. This looks like Blizzard's answer to the Gnomish Battle Chicken, which takes engineering of, I believe, 235, 240 max. There was some concern that only gnomes would be able to use the Gnomish Battle Chicken, and this looks like Blizzard's answer to that. Unsure of exactly how this Domesticated Attack Chicken is going to work and what abilities it will have, but it does look like it lasts for 90 seconds. However, it is on a 30-minute cooldown. I'm not sure I love that. We're going to really have to pick and choose each week what we use this on. It's going to be interesting to see how this plays out, to see if this item is a competitive trinket for high-end parsing or speedrunning. Next item, Mechanostrider Muffler, 2.4 medium attack speed. Not ideal for warriors and rogues, as they're looking more of the 2.6, 2.7, 2.8 speed. Stam and attack power, unsure of exactly the role that's going to play. 30 DPS is pretty high for a one-handed weapon at level 40. It's certainly not going to be best in slot, but it's going to be a nice filler item in the meantime. Fun items into the raid dungeon. A Trog transmog, that's pretty fun. Aragrire's Whimsical World Warper. Where could this device possibly take you? Oh well, who cares? Is this a Gnomer teleport? Where could this potentially take us? Maybe it's got some interesting backfire outcomes. We'll have to see. Epic Cloth 1 Armor Head Radiant Ray Reflectors. The words "deal with it" are etched into the side. This probably is going to look badass. That is going to be, double soft res probably from week 1. I just don't see how it's not going to be. Good luck getting that item. Looks like they're giving us a preview of some item sets. They have given us Plate Cloth Mail. They also, importantly, have noted that there's going to be tokens. It's unclear based on this verbiage if the tokens are going to be the exclusive way to get these items, or if it's just going to be an option that's available in addition to these specific items dropping in raid. Let's take a look at these set bonuses. For Plate, the 3-piece looks to be the same as before. It's 1% hit for the 3-piece set bonus. 2-set bonus is defense and attack power to make it compatible with both tanking and DPS. It looks like there's also a crit chance on these plate legs, which interesting to me is that there are legs that exist in the game from a quest that look to be potentially better than this. Uncertain at this point. Certainly these set legs will be easier to get. The set bonuses for these cloth and mail pieces are interesting. The mail piece obviously designed for shamans with the attack power and mana restoration. I wonder if there are specific sets for LE versus enhancement. I don't think there would be. A little bit disappointing that the set bonuses don't have any effects for Elemental Shaman. Maybe they will have specific ones, especially if you are able to use a token. And if tokens are the exclusive way to get these items, it would make sense for Shaman to be able to pick whether they want the enhancement or elemental piece like we've seen in prior expansions. Cloth set, hyperconductive robe. The 3-piece is a damage proc for 10 seconds. I don't play any casters, so I'm not sure exactly what the set bonuses were for BFD. Let me know what that was and how big of an impact this is. I play warrior main, so hard for me to really get a gauge on the relative value of some of these set bonuses, so looking for some of you guys' expertise there. All right, dungeon updates. This is really interesting. Season of Discovery Phase 2 will also have new skill books added as part of 5-player dungeon drops from various creatures. These quality of life improvements will not take a rune slot and help address things such as short aura durations for Paladin Blessings. All Paladins are rejoicing right now. Totem control for Shaman, which I'm assuming is the ability to drop all 4 totems at the same time. Or even as a part of manipulating combo points for rogues and the target these are on, and more. Here are just a few examples. Manual of Redirect teaches you redirect. I'm assuming that puts all your combo points on another target. All right, rune ability updates. These are obviously something that has been extremely impactful to the game since SoD launched. Everyone's been wondering what runes are going to be available in the next phase. I'm not going to talk about every single one of the new runes in this video, but the key takeaway I do want to talk about is that these runes look like they go into your boot and belt slot, which means that characters are now going to have 5 active runes at any given time. This makes for a lot more permutations of your rune setup. Highly doubt that Blizzard has tested all these permutations. I'm excited to see a lot of the wacky combinations that players are able to come up with, and potentially and likely game-breaking scenarios that we're going to find classes able to achieve. I do want to go over the warrior runes just because I'm a warrior main. It looks like we get Rallying Cry and Blood Surge. Blood Surge is a familiar one from Wrath of the Lich King. Blood Surge gives us a % chance whenever we Heroic Strike, Bloodthirst, or Whirlwind to have a 30% chance to give us a free and instant slam. So this is going to synergize quite well with a 2-handed build, as Heroic Strike is also Quick Strike, don't forget, and we are likely going to be Whirlwinding, probably not Bloodthirsting. There is a little bit of synergy there. I'm not sure if we're going to get Titan's Grip. I hope we don't get Titan's Grip. I've been saying for a long time I don't think Titan's Grip fits in with this classic feel. I really hope that warriors get their time to shine as a 2-handed wielding class instead of just sitting in the cheap seats and being a debuff bringer of 4% physical damage like we've seen in the past couple of expansions. It looks like we also get Rallying Cry. It gives us 15% max health for 10 seconds, kind of like a last stand for your entire raid. This is very interesting. This is going to help us mitigate a ton of mechanics like Gamura's shell explosion in Black Fathom Deeps. Very cool. Almost feels a little bit like a spirit shell from Discipline Priest in Shadowlands. I did play Shadowlands a little bit. That seems extremely strong to be able to mitigate some mechanics in raid, especially in later phases, as we fully expect the raid this phase to be somewhat simple and easy to conquer. All right, here's another huge thing that we've been waiting for details on, is the new Stranglethorn Vale PvP event. It's called the Blood Moon. It's going to be every 3 hours on a predictable timetable. A lot of people this phase and phase 1 have complained about the unpredictability of the event, having to check, having to sit around. This event's going to be every 3 hours, much more predictable. It's going to last an exact 30 minutes. And During the event, killing players allows you to earn currency, which will trade for rewards. It looks like that they are emphasizing a lack of raid groups in this, which is great. While Ashenvale was fun in its own ways, the Death Ball versus Death Ball combat did not lend itself to the most engaging gameplay, and it looks like that they are giving a penalty or maybe no currency at all to raid groups for this event. Not sure what's going to prevent people from just being able to group up with multiple separate 5-man groups. It looks like also you are able to opt out of the event if you want to. You won't be able to earn any rewards from the event if you opt out, and general realm PvP rules will still apply. Unsure of what exactly that means. I'm going to assume it gives you a honorless target type of buff, where if you are killed, it does not give the killer any rewards. I'm not sure if that's going to actually convince people from not killing people. Not exactly sure how this is going to work. Unlike in the Ashenvale PvP event, there will not be any PvP objectives in the STV event. You will need to keep a sharp eye out for the Chosen of the Blood Loa, who's more than a force to be reckoned with and will kill all in their path. Is that a boss type spawn? Is it a random spawn? Does it spawn in a specific area? Does it spawn in the Gurubashi arena? It's like we have some PvP rewards for the currency. It looks like we have epic rewards. First is a fire damage ring, 16 fire damage stam plus int. All right. I think that's pretty good based on what I know about caster loot. I think 16 damage for phase 2 is quite substantial. It is fire only, so we will have to see what that means. I feel like PvP, I feel like Frost Mage is going to shine in PvP, so maybe this was an item that was built to bridge both mages and warlocks as well. We'll have to see. I don't think fire is that good in PvP as a warlock, and I don't love seeing items that are great for PvE being part of PvP rewards. Another item we have here is a one-handed mace 2.3, 31 DPS, 10 strength, 6 agi. That's huge stats for a one-hander. 31 DPS is pretty good. It's okay. A little bit lower than what I would have expected for an epic weapon reward from the new season's PvP event. Remember that in Phase 2, we should be able to do high-level quests, 45 to 50, that are going to give us extremely high-leveled quest rewards for level 40, like, for example, the Griffin Rider Stormhammer, which is 31, 32 DPS with a damage proc, and it's 2.7, a much better main hand than this is going to be. This honestly almost feels more like a Feral Druid weapon than a warrior weapon. As you can see, this weapon is warrior specific. Not sure exactly where this is going to fit in. A little bit too slow for an offhand and a little bit too fast for a main hand. I'm sure there's a ton more rewards that we're going to be able to get, and this is great to see that they are emphasizing some type of looting and choice when it comes to getting the rewards that you want based off the currency that you're going to gain from this event. This is also really awesome, really big. 2 mounts that you can achieve, a tiger and a raptor. These are faction agnostic, so Alliance will be able to get the raptor and Horde will be able to get this saber-toothed tiger looking guy. These are level 40 mounts, and they are also acquired by participating in the PvP event. They don't specify whether or not it is gained from currency, or maybe it is a rare drop from killing some rare spawn. Who knows? There are also new quests which will help you earn Arathi Basin reputation. This event will not have an associated world buff. I don't think that these quests are located in the PvP event. It's a little bit confusing because this statement is right under the PvP event. I'm assuming that these quests are going to be closer to your AB portal, which is in Refuge Point for Alliance and near Hammerfall for Horde. I'm going to also assume that it's going to be a weekly, similar to the Ashenvale weekly quest that they recently buffed the rep gain to 1,000 per week. Could we see something similar for the Arathi Basin reputation? Very possible. because there is not an Arathi-based specific event, maybe this quest will give more rep. Maybe it's daily and give a little bit less rep. So it's something you have to do every day. I don't love the idea of daily quests. So I'm personally hoping that it's a one-time set of quests that you are able to do to get a little bit of bonus rep. Big update here. Additional adjustments are coming to matchmaking. While we understand that it can be frustrating for solo players to match against pre-made groups, we want to be careful about impacting queues. To address this, we're implementing 2 changes. 1, players in groups of 5 or fewer, you will have a higher chance to match against groups of 5 or fewer. Likewise, if you're in a group of 6 or more, you will have a higher chance to match with groups of 6 or more. This will help aid in matching more pre-made groups with pre-made groups or non-pre-mades with non-pre-mades when possible. To the account for the potential to create longer queues with this updated matching system, the system will ignore these rules after a period of time should we start seeing these queues impacted. This will then match you with the first available so you can get in and play without waiting too much longer. Elephant in the room, how long do groups have to wait before these rules start getting ignored? Pre-mades do not want to play other pre-mades. Pre-mades want to smash pugs so that they can maximize their reputation gain per hour. So this change, I feel like, effectively kills pre-mades of 6 or more players. After I think about it a little bit, I think we will see a few 10-mans that are waiting, that are willing to wait a little bit longer for a match. Again, it's highly going to depend on how long it takes before these rules get ignored. Is it 5 minutes or is it 15 minutes? 5 minutes, and that could be something that is very workable. We, on Alliance side, constantly and consistently see queues of 6 minutes or more. So if the limit on this is 5 minutes, then it's not an impact. If it's 15 minutes and it's taking you that much time to find a match, it's probably going to impact your reputation per hour quite substantially, and that will effectively kill the pre-mades of 6 or more. We'll have to wait and see what the testing shows on what that threshold is before these matchmaking rules get ignored. Big Ashenvale update. It's moving to a 3-hour timer as opposed to waiting for the resources to count down. But the biggest change here is that the weekly world buff is not going to apply to players that are level 40. So we were all worried that we're going to have to farm this each week to be able to get our 5% damage buff. It is a big sigh of relief that it looks like we aren't going to have to be able to do this. However, there is no guarantee that there's not going to be some new world buff that appears with the Blood Moon event. But this is good news all around. Some really cool profession updates are coming with this patch. It looks like they are adding 20 new recipes across all non-gathering professions, including professions that haven't gotten a lot of love: alchemy, enchanting. Of course, we're going to also see updates to engineering, blacksmithing, leatherworking, and tailoring. As expected as well, they will cap at 225 in Phase 2, and specializations are not going to be here until Phase 3. There is going to be a really long, epic quest chain to be able to unlock some of these rewards. We don't know any details about this, but we can guarantee that it is going to involve raiding in Gnomeregan. Let's take a look at these recipes. We have a rad resistant scale hood. It is male. It's got strength, agi, stam, int. Looks like a shaman or hunter item, which makes sense since they wear male. What's interesting is they have enhanced armor on this piece, I guess to support the shaman tanks, but which will also indirectly help our hunters as well. It's giving melee and ranged hit chance, and it's got a on-use 10-minute cooldown to remove all active poisons and gain immunity to nature damage for 3 seconds. I wonder if that is meant to be some sort of interaction with a mechanic we'll see in Gnomer, because at first glance, it looks to me like it is a decently mid-tier PvP on-use effect. Next item is narrow-linked arcanofilament monocle. That's got to be a helmet. It's cloth, stam, and int. 22 spell damage, 4 MP5, 10-minute cooldown on use again, much like we've seen in the Phase 1 epics. reduces mana cost of all spells by 50% and increases damage and healing done by up to 50. So nice little on-use damage increase for our clothy casters. Last item, Plate Helm, Stam Int, Paladin City, increases damage and healing by 21 on use of preventing silence, interrupts, and pushback for 10 seconds. Holy pally, anyone? This looks like something that would be insane in PvP if Paladins weren't amazing already, being able to bubble and spam heals on whoever they please. But then, again, to have the ability to pop this and spam even more spells, albeit they won't be immune to damage, this should give Paladins even more viability in PvP, which is something they were lacking significantly in Phase 1. Enchanters and Alchemists finally get a little bit of profession love in terms of epic recipes that we're able to get. Enchanters get the Enchanted Sigil innovation. This tells me that we will see more sigils either in Phase 2 directly, or they have left room to give more sigils in later phases. Either way, this looks pretty awesome. You can have 5 of these at once. When you use this, you get 20 increased damage and healing with spells, 20 attack power, and this is something that is applied to, I'm assuming, your weapon, but maybe it's applied to some other item. Not really sure, but especially for casters, 20 spell damage is much more valuable than 20 attack power from a item level standpoint. Alchemists get a mildly irradiated rejuvenation potion. This looks like a crazy potion that restores both health and mana. I'm a little bit surprised that it doesn't restore any energy. I think that would have been pretty cool, but it gives you 40 attack power and 35 spell damage for 15 seconds. Both of these items are really interesting because it feels like the caster benefits are significantly better than the melee benefits. Spell damage, again, being much more valuable, especially for the potion, it also granting mana, but not any rage or energy. Regardless, this is going to be really awesome for those players that have picked up enchanting or alchemy, especially those types of players that pick those up to help their guild. They are finally going to reap some benefits, and I think they'll be really happy with these additions. The last major change, a major shakeup, Blizzard is announcing that they are banning GDKP runs in Season of Discovery. This has massive implications for the in-game economy. The number one impact that this is going to have is that gold prices are going to plummet. I don't know my WoW economics well enough to be able to say what the effect of insanely cheap gold is going to mean for other things. Are we going to see extremely expensive consume prices? Are we going to see extremely expensive BOEs? Do we see boosting prices increased? Or do we think that the demand for gold in its entirety is just going to go down and things in the game will get cheaper as botters and gold farmers are much less incentivized to farm gold, especially now with the new changes that Blizzard has made with their subscriptions to all normalized to the US dollar amount, bypassing the farmer's abilities to subscribe using a foreign account to get very cheap subscription prices. How exactly they are planning to remove GDKPs is yet to be seen. I have a feeling that there will still be probably some GDKP activity, especially ones that are facilitated outside of in-game communication channels and therefore very hard to enforce. But this should get rid of 90+% of all GDKP activity in the game, and that should have a very substantial impact on the in-game economy. Last couple of changes that Blizzard has at the bottom here. One, Joyous Journeys type buff for players level 25 and under, which is going to allow you to level your alts up a little bit faster and get into the Phase 2 action a little bit quicker. Next, big change actually. XP increase gain in BFD when it is cleared. So interesting to see how this is going to be implemented. It doesn't sound like we're going to be getting XP from a mob to mob basis, but maybe there will be some type of quest that we can do that is on a 3-day lockout, much like the dungeon itself is. Unsure of exactly how much XP that is going to give. You can probably bet that with this comment that the vast majority of levelers at the launch of Phase 2 are going to try to get in a run at the beginning of the phase. I'm not going to be looking forward to trying to get into that BFD portal on launch day, but interested to see how much XP we are going to get. Another big thing is the world buff is now going to be unavailable at level 40 as well, which is really, really big. This in combination with the lack of the world buff from Ashenvale is a really, really good thing for players. We were worried about having to stack so many buffs phase to phase. By them removing these 2 buffs that were unique to this phase, that is a fantastic direction that the game is taking. They are also saying waylaid supplies will see an adjustment by buffing the amount of experience that they give on turn-in. They're also hinting at some other changes with the supplies. I know that people really didn't like this mechanic as part of Season of Discovery, which led to Blizzard reducing the amount of reputation you needed to get to the rune that was locked behind this reputation from honored to friendly. Let's see what they do with this. I think everyone expected them to lock more content behind waylaid supplies. Maybe it's just that honored in this phase. We'll really have to see what they do, but it looks like they are actively thinking about it and they are responding to community feedback and player feedback. It is fantastic to see what this team has done in this game, and that is a big part of why I am personally having the most fun I've had in years, not just playing World of Warcraft, but playing video games in general. I cannot wait to get into Phase 2 and see what else this game has for us in the weeks to come. Thanks for watching.